The mark of a narcissistic psychopath and sociopath is that they were able to break into your psyche and destroy you from the inside out. I am a sociologist. I do have 5 degrees related. I graduated from the top university in the country in sociology. However, I've also had a lot of interpersonal experiences and have done some scientific studies myself on narcissistic psychopaths and narcissistic sociopaths. So I'm here to help you get out of it and the disaster that they create. So I want to start off by saying I am a little bit wary. I don't really care for a lot of the different coaches and personalities out there that are trying to essentially lure and seduce people into another trap. With love, some of their teachings are good. Some of their teachings are fantastic, but other ones are just designed to get you caught up in another cycle and a negative vibration and frequency, which is actually going to bring them back in. Don't need to go on some long healing journey. For the most part, with narcissistic psychopaths and sociopaths, what you should know is they're a dime a dozen. You should never want a so-called Hoover from them, because for the narcissistic psychopath and the narcissistic sociopath, they tend to not let their victims go until and unless their victim is totally destabilized. And what I mean by destabilized is when the person becomes a shell of their former self. When they're walking around empty, non-existent, they don't know who they are anymore. When they essentially become like on the outside and to the rest of the world, what the narcissistic psychopath and sociopath feels like on the inside. If you stick with them, they will erode any connection you have to self or to God. The primary goal of the narcissistic psychopath and sociopath is to make you into an object. And we'll go into that a little bit more on a future video, but for right now, why you should not want the Hoover. Is a Hoover going to come? Let me tell you this. This is really sad. There are some narcissistic psychopaths and sociopaths that I've seen them hang around for 10 years, 15 years. I've heard about them hanging on for decades. Is it going to come? Unfortunately, this is going to depend on what level you're at. If a small part of you wants them to come back, that might mean you're not completely over them yet. If you want the Hoover, that means there's still a small part of your self-esteem or identity that is tied with the narcissist. You must understand everything you liked about the narcissist, everything you wanted about them. Guess what? Those were parts of yourself that you were projecting outward onto them. What you really want is yourself back. You don't want them back. I need you to think about when you were with them, were you actually happy? Did you enjoy your time with them? Were you shining and smiling and happy and bright every day? Were you excited about life? Were you excited about the next day? Did it feel good to be with them? If so, for how long? Did that last for days, weeks, or months? The goal of the narcissistic psychopath or sociopath is to completely destabilize you, to leave you as an empty shell of yourself, to leave you to where you don't even know, ideally, if you even exist anymore. You don't know who you are anymore, okay? And you do think about who you were before the narcissistic psychopath or sociopath came into your life. That's the person you need to get back to. It is going to take time. You may have to take some steps. We'll go into this in future videos a little bit more. But for now, what you need to understand is they measure their success on when they Hoover you or not based on primarily if you are completely destabilized or not. See, how their mind works is if they see you healthy and back to normal and back to business as usual, they recognize that they did something wrong. They missed something, because essentially what they do is they erode your sense of self. Unfortunately, when you start to get better, they are going to try to come back in, and not for the reasons that you may think. Don't fall into a trap of thinking, oh, well, I'm healthier now and I'm more deserving now of a good relationship and that's why they're coming in. Please do not fall into that trap. That's not the reason why they come back in. They come back in because they were not able to successfully destroy you before. The mark of a narcissistic psychopath and sociopath is that they were able to break into your psyche and destroy you from the inside out. Destroy you from the inside out, okay? What they essentially do is they mirror you, they mimic you, they absorb your characteristics, they absorb certain traits about you. And then once they have successfully destabilized you, they feel like, okay, I've cracked the code on who this person is. I understand who they are. I have taken upon their personality, because remember, they don't have a personality. They don't have a sense of identity. They don't have a sense of self. Once they have absorbed your character and then destabilized you, they feel like they have cracked the code. So if you're able to rebuild and bring yourself back up and bring yourself back together, or to go through, maybe you change, maybe you also, on top of that, you decide to lose weight, or you decide to go back to school, or you decide to finally take that trip that you've been wanting to take, or to finally do something really good for yourself that you want to do. What ends up happening is, when they come back and check on you, because they do periodic rounds and they do check to see where you're at, to see what's going on with you. If they see that you are healthy, you're back to normal, or you're doing good, they see it as, I must have missed something. And then their sense of identity starts to destabilize and collapse, because their sense of identity and character came from you. Their sense of identity and character came from you and their other, what they call supplies or victims. If you are doing well, that means that there was a chink in their armor, essentially. That was something that they didn't get, something they didn't understand, which means they start to doubt everything about themselves. They start to doubt everything it is that they were doing. And that's when, unfortunately, obsession may start. And they might get fixated on, I'm not going to get too into the details and nuances in this tape, but when they come back to Hoover, whatever you do, this is above and beyond the most important thing. Do not go back to them. Do not go back to them. Sometimes a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath will come up with an elaborate scheme. Something that seems like an offer you can't refuse. In some cases, they may try to marry you. They may offer you a family. They may come back as a changed man or woman. Don't go back, because this time it's going to be 10 times worse or far worse, because this time they didn't get you the first time, but they've learned you, they've studied you, and they'll be damned if they lose you again. Their whole life is at stake here, because their whole identity is at stake here, because their identity revolved around you. Do not go back to them. These people, when you hear about these stories of women that go back, or men that go back to the ex and it's over with after that, if you know what I mean. If you think that they don't watch you, they don't give up. Like I said, it could be 10 years later, it could be 5 years later, it could be 20 years. Don't go back to them ever. Do not go back to them ever. I feel like there are some of you out there who may be going through a glow up phase, and you're starting to feel good, and you're starting to eat right and feel better and get your life back in order. When this person comes in, or someone that is like them, kindred spirits to them, do not go back. Don't go back. These people are also capable of turning people into shells of themselves. They don't even know who they are anymore. They've lost an interest in everything that they love and everything that they do, and who they are and who they were. If they had a connection with God, if they were strong and spiritual, that's gone now. They don't know who they are. They have no connection with their higher self even. Narcissistic psychopaths and sociopaths may try to get you on drugs, may try to get you to make reckless decisions and choices that will destroy your life. Trust me, it's all being thought out consciously and on purpose. It always gets worse. They keep going lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Those things that will bring out the most trauma, that will destabilize you the most, that will bring out your fears, those are things that they're going to do. And they keep looking and searching and waiting until they can find those things, essentially, so they can do them. So again, if you have a fear, you take them back, they're going to find something worse. They're going to find something else. These stories, again, that we hear of narcissistic psychopaths and sociopaths, destroying women and men's, entire life savings, and ruining all of their businesses, and people lose their homes, and they lose everything that they've worked for, 40 years worth of work. They lose their children that they love. This is not by accident. This is by design. That's what these people do. They're like spiritual agents for the dark side, essentially. That's how you could look at them. We're going to go into the spiritual aspects a little bit more later, but like and subscribe for more content on this. We're going to get into the darker truths and the hidden truths. We need more healed men and women out there. The biggest thing about narcissistic psychopaths and sociopaths is the time. They're distractions to distract you from your businesses, your goals, your family, or whatever it is that you love and want to do. That's their job. So the first thing you need to do is at least start being productive with your time. Don't let them take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of your life. Don't let them take that. 2 decades, 3 decades of your life. We're not doing that, right? We're not going to do that. So what you need to do is understand, do not want the Hoover. The biggest thing they want to take from you is, well, of course, mind and time. This is a battle for the soul.